Hello, my name is Douglas Bloch. Welcome to the Depression Recovery Channel, where each week we talk about practical tools and coping strategies for healing from depression and anxiety. Today is Flashback Friday, a feature in which I republish one of my earlier videos you might not have seen that contains really important coping strategies that will help you attain a better mood. Now here's today's video. The title of today's video is called, Can the Full-Time Pursuit of Pleasure Make You Happy? Before we find out, we have to tell our normal joke. And I've always told people, well, in all these videos, especially in my ones on hope, that what goes down must come up. In other words, anytime you have a really bad period in your life, if you wait long enough, it will be followed by a good period. So this is the background to this joke. And that is, why did Humpty Dumpty have a great fall? Well, because he had a terrible summer. All right. So, getting back to the title of the video, it's called, Can the Full-Time Pursuit of Happiness bring you, Full-Time Pursuit of Pleasure bring you happiness? Well, you know, those of us who suffer from depression know that one of the cardinal symptoms is the inability to feel pleasure. Well, if that's the case, then the opposite, experience tons of pleasure should bring you happiness. The definition of pursuing pleasure for pleasure's sake is called hedonism. Now, this may seem all well and good, but the problem with living this way is something that psychologists have called hedonic adaptation. This means that over time, the thing that brought you pleasure initially, if you do it over and over again, it starts to kind of get flat. And the best illustration of this comes from my own life. When I lived down in Eugene, way back in the 70s when I was going to graduate school, for my birthday, we used to go out to this really cool place called the Excelsior Restaurant. Maybe it's still around. And for dessert, I had something called pot de crème. It's a French dish. It's a pudding, but it's really, really intense chocolate pudding. Very, very rich. I remember I looked forward to taking that first bite from the little cup it was in. It wasn't that much, but it was very dense. I took the first bite and suddenly there were shooting stars of dopamine going off in my brain. I felt like $1 million. Then I took the next bite. That was good. The next bite, pretty good. The next bite, yeah, good. Next bite, well, maybe not so good. And by the time I got to the end, I was actually feeling a little bit sick. So you see what happened is I went through the pudding, the pleasure diminished and diminished until finally it more or less disappeared. When I was growing up and smoking ads were allowed on television, there was a very famous ad that posed the question, are you smoking more now but enjoying it less? There it is, hedonic adaptation. Or how about saying to the alcoholic, are you drinking more now, but enjoying it less? Or are you taking more opioids now, enjoying it less? Or what about, are you shopping more now, but enjoying it less? The answer to all these questions is yes. My experience of these things is diminishing. This is why heroin addicts will tell you that they spend all of their time and energy trying to chase that first high. And of course, they can never reach it. Even the high of falling in love doesn't last. It diminishes too. Soon you have a house, a mortgage, and babies waking you up at night. I like the adage a minister friend of mine once told me. If you want to be happy for a day, go out to a really good restaurant. If you want to be happy for 2 weeks, buy a new car. If you want to be happy for 6 months, fall in love. But if you want to be happy for the rest of your life, develop a relationship with your higher power. So maybe there's something spiritual here. And I just remember reading something from the Sermon on the Mount. It's universal. Matthew 6. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, Doug, you should definitely have your bookmarks better. Here we are. It says, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Happiness seems to be something about following your heart. Having a passion, this can lead us to a number of directions. People can have a passion like music or art or something that makes the world more beautiful. Or there's always service. I remember that Martin Luther King said once in a speech about his funeral, he said, "Don't tell people I won the Nobel Prize. Tell them that Martin Luther King spent his life trying to love and serve humanity." And then there, of course, is the famous Dr. Albert Schweitzer, who started a free hospital in Africa. He had something very interesting that was on the hospital wall, and this is what it said. "I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I do know. The only ones among you who will be really happy are those who will have sought and found how to serve." And then for many people, following their heart means raising a family. I remember the film City Slickers, very popular decades ago. Billy Crystal starred in it. It was about a guy trying to find himself. He went off to the country, went to a dude ranch, and looking for the number one thing in his life, turned out it was his kids. A 38-year-old member of my men's group just had a child, and at 6 months old, he's taking her out camping. I've never seen him so happy. This is exactly what his father did for him. So, I mean, he's really enjoying parenthood. On the other hand, children can be a mixed bag. My therapist used to tell me, as the children grow, so go the parents. So if a child is having severe psychological or physical problems, it can be very stressful for the parents. On the other hand, most parents have told me that the love they feel for their children is worth the patience and the sacrifice. I would like to conclude on this note. For those of us who are still depressed, pleasure is in short supply. So in this case, a little pleasure is good. So those of you who are watching, don't deny yourself that dish of ice cream. On the other hand, when you come out of the depression, start to feel better, remember that pursuing pleasure as the be-all and end-all will not bring you happiness in the long run. This has been Douglas Bloch. I hope you found the information on this Flashback Friday video helpful. If so, please give it a like, as likes draw more and more people to this channel and hopefully some more subscribers. You can also leave your comments in the comments section or email me, douglasbloch@gmail.com. If you do want to subscribe to this channel, click on my photo in the closing credits. You'll be taken to my subscribe page. And if you click on the bell to the right, you'll be notified every time I do a new video or live chat. And if you want to contribute to this channel and become a patron, simply click on the Patreon image. You'll be taken to my crowdfunding site. And until next video, I wish you the best in your mental health recovery. Thank you so much.